Greetings, Diski fam. Welcome to another episode of the Sisonke Diski Chat brought to you by Vodacom. My name is Len Moleko, and this is a show where we talk about everything that has to do with the beautiful game right here in Mzansi, and of course, involving the two biggest teams in South Africa, that being Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs. And today, like we normally do, we are joined by players who used to play for those big clubs. They know the pressures that come with playing for those big clubs. But today, we're not particularly going to be talking about those big clubs per se, because as you know, it is currently the Africa Cup of Nations 2021, even though it's in 2022. And we're going to be talking about that particular tournament. And my guests today are two gentlemen who have actually played at the 2013 edition. They also played at the 2015 edition for Bafana Bafana. I'm talking about Oupa Manyisa, formerly with Orlando Pirates. Oupa, welcome to the Sisonke Diski Chat.
Sabojo.
Get on. And Thuso Phala as well, formerly with Kaizer Chiefs, another one who played at the AFCON. Thuso, welcome to the show.
Sure, thanks for having me, bro.
Hey, Tada. So, gents, getting into it. AFCON, you know, the previous one, I think in 2019, July, we were there. But the one at Lanka January, when you have to leave your team, to go, whether you're going to Cameroon or Nigeria or Egypt, wherever they hosted, like, how do you manage to make the transition out? Okay, I know, club Diski no, if I had a squad,
It's not that simple, because remember, December, it's festive season. So moving away from your team, it's nothing difficult because the team's closed in December. So the problem is when you're leaving your family, going to camp, and you have been playing the whole season. That's another problem. You have to adjust from you going away now. That's the only problem, because of its festive season.
Yeah.
And you are playing January. You have to be in camp from December.
Thuso, I let what teaming like immediately about okay. Ligi ya fela ka bomadi 15 ka bomadi 16 le kontlong o ya fela lo change diaparo and then camp.
Yeah, for some players it can be more unfortunate that maybe you were playing away your last game. Maybe you were playing in Cape Town and you're needed in camp, and after the last games you're needed in camp. So you fly back, get home from the airport, you can go sometimes straight to camp. So that's how unfortunate it can be sometimes, you know.
And Oupa, you mentioned something very important, Hore, like, okay, it's not about the transitioning of, leaving club. Okay, no, you're not going to see your family in, and all of that. How are you able to, because I mean, season kaofela, like you are moving from this town to that town, this town to that town, jiggy, festivity, you're not able to like spend time with your family. Does that work in your mind in a negative or a positive way?
No, it goes both ways, but it depends on what you want as a person. If you want to be seen playing with the big guns, you have to adjust. But if you don't want to go there, then tough luck. Just fake an injury there. Then stay home. That's the best way.
Yeah.
But if you want to be seen, you have to prepare your mind and make sure that you go there and give it all.
You know, the interesting thing, Thuso, like there was a whole thing, okay, there are teams that don't want their players to go to AFCON because some players come back, bali injured, more in South Africa, we never really struggled with that. The teams do welcome, Tama, go represent your country.
Yeah, I think for us we've never had such problems, because I think for us as a country, if our players go play in the international tournaments, it benefits the clubs and the leagues. So we've never had that problem. But yeah, I think maybe because of how much they have invested in their players, I think overseas, I think maybe that's why they sometimes don't want the players coming back to play the intercontinental tournament, because of how much they have invested in their players. So for us, going there, it's more exposure, and it's more for the club to gain. So that's why the clubs this side will never have a problem with the players going to play.
So 2013, 2015, both of you guys played all the two AFCONs. What goes through your mind? That first game, lining up, national anthem, stadium skate, on some like, okay, yeah, AFCON, and like the tournament is here. What goes through your mind at that particular time?
Yo, a lot, pressure and hostile fans. Because remember, those fans that side, they are hostile in a way of making sure that they disturb your mind. Not like they are hating you or something. They're just playing around with your mind. So there's a pressure of going to the field plus the supporters outside. Remember us, it's only us and the technical team. We don't have supporters.
Oh, so with that pressure that comes, I step like, because obviously there's pressure, there's hostility. How can I on the ground, like, do you brush it away on some, no, it's fine, you know, or does it still play somewhere at the back of your mind?
It will always be there. Pressure will always be there. I think even if you go to the best athletes, maybe like a Usain Bolt, before a race, even though he knew like he was going to win, but then he had that pressure. You know, it will always be there. And I think that also motivates you to do well on the game. So you see how a player maybe starts the game, the first few touches, and then that's when the pressure will be released a bit. But the pressure will always be there.
And the interesting thing that I actually saw with the current AFCON that's playing is the heat factor. You see like the earlier games, Saboma 3 o'clock, maybe the 6 o'clock one to a degree. You seem to think, or the way it looks, the weather conditions don't really work for them. In your guys' experience, how did you sort of like handle being in that part of the African continent and having to deal with something as simple as the weather?
You have to adjust. Remember, with shakes, we used to train at 11 o'clock in the morning, 11, 12 o'clock in the morning.
In the
Just
heat, we used to adjust to that, yeah. So you have to adjust. You know where you're going.
You don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice. Sometimes, even if you go, maybe you play artificial fields, find us with our boots in the cooler bag there. It's hot. But you adjust. But that's the compromise and the sacrifice that comes with if you want to play highest level. You go through such things and you must overcome them.
And then obviously, like, there's other factors like, you know, the food. Do you travel with your own chef? Do you get there? And then you're like, what's going on? What am I eating here?
You have to adjust, my friend. There's nothing you can do.
In Africa, even like you get in the kitchen and the smell is different.
It's different. Even if you can come with your own chef, it's the same. The smell.
So it's up to you because you know where you're going. So I remember when we were in Cameroon, we were playing World Cup qualifiers, and then the guys were in the bus, and then there's this guy selling these big rats there at the robots. So you're thinking if they can sell this at the robot snacks, you can imagine the food at the no one wants to eat. You're like, I will have rolls in the morning. It is rolls, cheese only, power aids the whole day. Breakfast, lunch, supper.
And you guys were speaking about hostility earlier on, and you're mentioning now that like when you guys went to Cameroon for the World Cup qualifiers, how much of this hostility do you get the minute you land in the country that you're going to play in?
The minute you land at the airport.
The minute you land at the airport. It's worse good.
Starts there.
If you go to play the Mazembe.
TP Mazembe, it's worse.
From the airport.
From the airport.
The people there know that you are coming to play Mazembe.
They can even hide your passport.
Starts there at the airport.
You have to pay to get them back.
Then go through such in Africa. When we play, the experiences that we encounter, especially if you go as a team.
Yeah.
As a country, it's more the protect us because we have no securities more. But if you go as a club and go play this tournaments, the CAF tournaments, you go to Tunisia, when they get at the airport, our bags, there's no balls.
Egypt, they stole the balls.
Everything is gone. So you see, like in Africa, but you know what you're going to experience. So you must go through that, and mentality, you must be strong.
So in terms of the actual tournament itself, like I said, you get there, the pressure comes, you play against some of your teammates from your club level. You've obviously experienced that. How do you approach such a situation? 2 minutes, at maybe FNB or Call of Tase. Next thing, we're playing against each other at the Africa Nations tournament.
It's the same thing as us this side. I can be with Thuso today.
We're friends, but then we meet there in the field.
Tomorrow is no longer at our team, it's somewhere else. But at the end of the day, we are friends. Friendship stays outside. When we get there, there's no friends. He understands what no.
So can take it,
Then after the game,
after the game, we're okay.
Out.
So do you get then in instances whereby, say, in occasions where obviously like South Africa does not qualify for a World Cup or a Africa Cup of Nations, do you you'd obviously have like your teammates that would go represent their various national teams. Do you keep in communication with them? What do you guys talk about? Do you congratulate them after a win? Do you console them after losing? Like, how do you sort of like deal with those relationships with teammates that are representing their national teams when, say, South Africa is not involved?
And I think sometimes it's how close you are with that. I think maybe you were playing with Ndoro.
No.
If you're Zimbabwe goes. Yeah. I was playing with the Tinashe Ngomash and they go there. It's how close I am with him at the club level. And then if he's playing for AFCON, I'm obviously gonna motivate him because he's playing at a tournament it's a high tournament for the continent. So obviously gonna keep in touch and wish him well and talk to him every day. But it comes from the team, what relationship you had. Maybe I can have relationship with someone from the opposition team who's going to the AFCON. Yeah. Then I'll congratulate him and, motivate him because that tournament is the biggest tournament in our continent. So it's not easy.
It's big, but how difficult is it to play go AFCON? Like you see it now, like okay, Mautiba Zama, okay, Egypt loses against Nigeria, Senegal struggle against Zimbabwe. Like how difficult is it to go AFCON?
I think it's more mentally because sometimes you get teams that plays with low intensity and the others plays with high intensity. So for us is to know that if we are playing against Thuso's team and they're playing low intensity, we have to take it up. Yeah. If you're playing your team and they're high, we have to take it down. It's more like a mind game.
Yeah, it's the highest level there because the players, they imagine finding players who are playing in England, who are playing in Spain, who are playing in Italy, and they're all there now around you. Can you imagine the level of football that's there? You know, it's a high level tournament. You might see it on TV and think it's easy. When you're there, we played the Senegal when Sadio Mane was still at Southampton. Yeah. Look at Sadio Mane now. It's big there in England, Liverpool. We played against him there in Guinea when he was playing for Senegal.
In 2015.
Yes, when Senegal beat us 3-0, people were like, losing to Senegal 3-0. Those people, they playing at that level. Now Mane, we're playing, he was there. He was still at Southampton. But you can see the level of the football that they were playing. But people didn't know Mane then, they know him now. But we played against him there and they beat us 3-0. So you can see the level of football.
So do you get to a point of like intimidated? Like obviously when you're lining up, like, hey, oh, Southampton, hey, oh, Crystal Palace, hey, oh, Valencia, hey, oh, Koita.
No, there's no intimidation. Remember, us in the country are short. So the minute they look at us and say, no, juniors, we get motivated. So we want to show them that we are not juniors.
Oh, so
actually, we are small and short.
The Channel, the difference with the things. If you find the Senegalese, the Burkina Fanos, all like this, and we are like, so, me behind Oupa, they're standing like this, they're like, these young boys.
You get motivated.
But then we tell ourselves that, so Oupa Manyisa is singing.
And in terms of that, because what I've noticed is, especially when you play against a lot of the West African teams, they're big, built, tall. Physically, like how physical do they actually apply themselves on South Africans? Because, like you said, Barbona really didn't play.
Stay away from contact. Play 1-2. Or it's gonna kill you. You won't come back.
And because they are physically strong, so you won't win that battle. Yeah. So you must play to avoid the battle.
AFCON time, if we don't qualify, obviously the teams, sometimes there are some teams that give you breaks, some teams don't. Or did you guys get a break? Or Arga January is like, they go leafing, or spanning is span?
It depends on the position of the team.
Yeah. The team
depends.
Top 8.
Top 8 will come back later. The relegation, or even December don't get a break.
But there's no break because after the AFCON, the league resumes, Bill.
Yes.
When you came back from the AFCON, and it's now you're playing second round of the league. So I don't think we got a break from the camp. No, we come back straight back. We're training on Monday.
But for the guys that are remaining behind,
they're training.
They still continue.
Yes. They're training.
They'll tell them, those ones are playing.
Training is your job. Those ones are also playing, was there. Those are training.
Yo. How na lifinyana on some like James Bonner this week? Maybe like Tuesday, Wednesday. It's still business as usual.
Yeah, I think leafing football is when the season closes, when it's off season. end of the league, that's when, because even these teams, December, we are playing. You play 16, like, and then they'll give you that break. Christmas, you go home. New Year's Eve, you are home. It's
Second, we are back.
2 January training.
Yo.
So there's no leave in the football day. That festive or January, there's no leave. Because you get paid most to train.
There's no such thing as holiday. There's no holiday.
Holiday is only off season.
Yeah.
When it's off season, that's where we get 6 weeks off, ne? 6 or 5 weeks off.
5.
That's your only rest. Then you can do your holidays. And that time it's May, June, eh?
May, June.
It's winter. You are home. Holiday where?
You have to be home.
Unless if you leave the country.
Unless you go overseas or something.
So coming back from an AFCON, how are you able to then be like, okay, cool, Spanish fedile, maybe you come back disappointed because you didn't do that well. How are you then able to adjust mentally and probably physically, because you know when it was 35 degrees there. So now you're coming back to Mzansi. It's not that hot. Like maybe one day Pulayana, the other day Pulayeni. Obviously temperature changes. Now you're back home. Now you're going back to your team. How are you able to adjust and reintegrate yourself into like, okay, now I'm going to be playing club football again?
It's not that difficult because remember during the season, you go Cape Town, Durban, Polokwane, it's the same thing. So you have to come back, take a bit of rest, 1 day, 2 days, go back to work.
Yeah, it's not a lot of adjusting if you are from the national team. Because like when you are in Africa, I think for us it was not that. We went somewhere where you've never experienced that weather.
Yeah.
So it's like, as Eddie says, Oupa, when you go to play at Limpopo, it's hot also. Playing in Venda, playing where, then maybe on Wednesday you're playing in Cape Town. It's raining there, it's cold. So for us, I think that weather, we've adjusted a lot because you're always traveling around the country. So coming from AFCON to your team, it's not a lot of adjustment that you must make because you are used to that weather. You used to the weather also being different. So it's not a lot of adjusting that you must do. You must just adjust that you are back at your club level now. Yeah. And maybe find Oupa as the captain, like Pirates. But their national team was not the captain. So you adjust now. Now you get to be the leader. Then you want to down. So you're just only in those things. But physically or like your surroundings, not a lot of adjusting you do.
And the interesting thing that Thuso is mentioning now, captain go obviously go Pirates, now you go to the national team, you're not the captain. Do you work in conjunction with the captain go national team or how fit are that?
You stick to your lane. You stick to your lane.
There are captains there.
But don't you share like leader go fail?
Yeah, we are all leaders, but
at your team.
At your team.
National team.
And remember when you're at national team camp, maybe let's say we're in Cameroon, we only want to meet when we eat or when we go to training. We are always closing ourselves in the rooms. No one wants to go out.
Where will you go?
Right, even like maybe going to the swimming pool of the...
It's hot, my guy.
You won't, my
You
guy.
need that aircon in the room.
Stay in the room, yeah. And you find that this you are with someone maybe I know is personally. I'm with him in the room. The other guys, I'll meet them there with them when we have the meals, training or meeting. So it's only me and him in Cameroon. So it's very typical. You see, like playing for a national team is very typical because we don't train like how we train at the club level, where we plan how we're gonna beat that team. We have this training from Monday to Thursday. No, there we meet. Monday is camp. We're starting Monday. Some will report Tuesday. Some come Wednesday. They're late. They're from other countries. Maybe we have 1 or 2 sessions. We are playing Saturday. It's an AFCON qualifier. The country wants us to qualify. So you understand, it's very difficult because we don't train every day with him.
Yeah.
I don't know how Oupa trains or how he plays. I'm meeting him at the national team and I must be his teammate there and play with him to beat a Algeria or a Tunisia. So it's very difficult playing for a national team because you guys, we don't train, you don't play the whole season. You're just meeting at camp and you must go play. You're representing your country.
Yo.
So you can understand.
And the thing, that's actually a very interesting thing. Like when you're out in, let's say, Cameroon or Ghana or wherever, like go hoteling, like serious. You don't have like that teammate, like
There's something that is called Wi-Fi. Everyone is on his phone.
Wi-Fi, you're in your room, you're there.
Wi-Fi, aircon,
sharp.
Nah.
And at least if I know we're going to camp, because they announced the squad, right? So you know you're going to camp. And then I know Oupa is coming. Ne? He's from another team. Maybe he plays for Pirates, I play for SuperSport. He's from another team. Maybe I'll say, in fact, camping the PlayStation at least bring, so at least we have something to play with. We already know that in camp we're organizing that in our room, PlayStation, at least we have entertainment.
But you must be prepared. You're going to sleep at 4 a.m.
At least we have something to
4
do.
a.m. Because everyone is going to come there.
It is that, that brings, that camaraderie. That's why I think the team of Coach Shakes, Mashaba.
Yeah.
I think those guys, when they qualified for AFCON, I think you could see on the field how together they were.
Yeah.
That also helps. That's why like a PlayStation where the players are in one room, now we're chilling in our room, everyone is here, 6, 7 players. That also comes out in the field.
Yeah.
Because we are together most, the whole night, Sisonke most. So it brings that brotherhood now together.
Breakfast time, we wake each other up.
Breakfast, hey Baba, breakfast, we are there together. So that also brings the brotherhood. A PlayStation in camp changes everything. Because other than that, it's going to be me and Ace who's in the room, just on our phones. He's also on his phone. Yeah. We meet there, breakfast, sure. We eat, go back to my room. So things like that. Maybe a PlayStation in the camp helps bring the brotherhood. It will show on the field.
Oh, interesting. And then with national team, cool. You come back. I can go national team, like you said, like training sessions, you probably have 1 or 2. Now, AFCON Fedile, you go back to your team. In terms of the philosophy, the national team coach, leaving that philosophy and now having to go back to the philosophy, your club coach, is that also an easy adjustment, or is it something that you're like, okay, maybe I'll get it maybe after 2, 3, 4 training sessions, and then I'll be back to reintegrate? Because like Mauti were behind, they were training, we don't only see you. So now there's like maybe new tactics that were being worked on. Is it easy to slot back in, or does it take a bit of time?
It's not that difficult because when you come back, they will let you know what they were doing and they will show you what they want you to do. But from adjusting from national team to the team level, it's not that simple. Or it's not that difficult because let's say me and Thuso are from the same team. When we go to the national team and the coach there wants us to do something, we can also do what we used to do at the club level and it can help the team. So as what we were doing in the national team, we can also do it to the club. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, it's not a lot of adjusting because when you remember if you had 2 training sessions with the national team, like I don't think it will change you as a player.
Yeah.
And to be called out for the national team, it's what you were doing at the club level. So you stick to what you were doing there, then you do it at the national team. Coming back, it's your bread and butter, because you do that every day. Yeah. So you know what to do. National team, you get chosen because of what you're doing at club level.
Yeah.
So you don't change much. The coach there at national team, he wants to see the ACCs, the Pirates, right? So you won't change much. You must come and bring your player. So when you go back, it's bread and butter. So it's your body doing everything.
So basically there's not much
Adjusting
it's not. With... Okay. And then when you get called up for the national team, do you know before the squad is announced, or Lilona Lutwa when the rest of us here?
They send a letter at the club.
Before they announce, they send the letters to the club.
So there's media people at the club who's going to tell you that Sunday you have to report. Or you got a call up. Maybe it's your first call up. Yeah, they want to say the club that you got called up for the national team.
Then you have to report.
You have to report on Sunday because usually the last games play on Sunday. So usually Sunday night is when we used to report for camp. If you're playing away, others report they come Monday, others from overseas Tuesday, as I said. You see, so there's also that thing of if you come on Wednesday, imagine you are playing Saturday. So there's not much what the coach can do also that you're planning.
And you won't train on Wednesday.
You won't train.
You want to only train on Thursday.
Remember your first call-up?
Yes.
What was going through your mind when you media officer came? He's like, hey, Baba, national team.
For me it was like, a dream come true. I think Oupa went there before me. I went there. I think they played the qualifiers, the Sheiks. I got a call up.
It was
before.
My first call up of Peter.
That was 2013. 11.
2011.
Yes.
And remember me, it was Tiko Modise, Katloro Mpela, Katloro Mashego,
Yes.
Steven Pinar. Man.
That was obviously the team after that
2010 World Cup.
2010 World Cup. And like you were mentioning now, like you were like, okay, did you sleep that night?
I didn't sleep. How can you sleep while Steven Pinar is next to you? You don't know what you're going to say to a guy.
Mine was the AFCON. Yeah, mine was the AFCON. But there was a call-up before. It was not really a call-up. Remember Coach Koriniga said he called like 40 players.
40 players to select.
That was before the AFCON.
Yeah.
40 players, and then in those 40 players...
AFCON 2013 again.
Yeah, the one you hosted,
yes.
yeah. And then he was going to announce the final team. So that was not actually a call-up. I think the call-up was when I heard on the radio, it's for the AFCON tournament.
So when I they
were announcing then the radio, the names there.
I was like, hey,
yeah, going to AFCON.
No,
so
that's
really life-changing.
That's brilliant. Gentlemen, before we get out of here, I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Who do you think is going to win the 2021 AFCON?
But still early, eh?
I know.
But I saw Nigeria. Nigeria is doing pretty well. They are strong in the back.
Yeah,
And they are mentally prepared. You saw yesterday after they scored one,
yeah,
they were defending with 7.
Maybe pack the bus.
Pack the bus. It's group stages, my guy.
I think these Northern Africa countries, Algeria or Tunisia, those ones.
Senegal, next. 2015 is until it.
Yeah, they beat us. Those ones.
Now I'm going with Nigeria. Guys.
Algeria.
So that left wing,
Yeah.
more so who?
Aye, not for me.
Not for you.
Egypt next.
Egypt now.
Yeah, at least they're North African. Egypt, Algeria, those are Tunisia.
Yeah.
They're always there. Always there.
Okay. No, we'll revisit this conversation. I'll invite you guys again here to account for your choices. But gents, thank you very much for joining us on the Sisonke Diski Chat. New at home as well. Thank you very much for joining us. And remember, follow at Vodacom Soccer on Twitter, where you can find a host of competitions where you can win smartphones, where you can win merchandise from Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates, where you can win a lot of data as well. Remember, it is at Vodacom Soccer on Twitter. Until the next episode, I will see you again on the flip side. This has been the Sisonke Diski Chat.